This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday. Wishing he had a mulligan. That's not how you want to start the game.
Not at all, because not only do you give up the penalty and good field position, but it just kills the momentum of your team as you start a game.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Under pressure, and they got to him again. That's big Cameron Hayward adding another sack to his career total. What a great job getting pressure here on the first drive. 3 plays and already 2 sacks.
And that pressure has been intense right from the beginning. And I'm telling you, if they don't make an adjustment in play calling and protection, it'll go from intense to relentless.
So on 4th down, here's the Australia native Mitch Wishnowsky to punt this one away. Back deep, 2-time Pro Bowler Dante Hall. Fielded at the 33. It'll be a 39-yard punt, give him a good 10 yards on the return. And the AFC will take over 1st and 10. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the NFC sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, let's call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who is trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and about to do it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s, he was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first teams to film practice because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Meanwhile, Brady's throw caught by his receiver, Hill. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee...
Oh, that's into double coverage and intercepted. Picked off by the Hall of Famer Kevin Green. And his guys are going to take over at the 31-yard line. Boy, he had to fit that into a pretty tight window over the middle. And, Charles, I think they were in zone defensively, weren't they?
They certainly were. Nice read on your part. And sometimes the quarterback isn't fooled between zone and man. Sometimes just fooled by the type of zone that he sees. Because oftentimes, those linebackers will vacate and run downfield with receivers.
Well, the pressure gets home, and the AFC comes up with a sack. Buried by multiple defenders on the drive's first play. Well, they're in some hot water now. After that sack, it's 2nd and 21. From the shotgun, it's Favre. The first catch of the game for George Kittle. And they work this well upfield across the 45. So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden Legacy Game. The NFC with the football here to begin the second quarter, as they've got it with a 1st and 10. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And a good push there defensively as they stop him at the 48. Gain of just 1. Here's 2nd and 9, just a yard on that last run. From the gun, it's Favre. And his throw's going to be incomplete. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really nowhere to go here. He lost the football. Offensively lucky they were able to keep the football, but now 4th down, so they'll have to boot it away.
I do think, though, they're going to look at this as a positive. One, they recovered the fumble, so they retained possession. But two, being able to punt it changes field position for them. Imagine if that turnover takes place there. Now your defense has to go onto the field and try and hold. Instead, they get a little breathing room.
Now the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
So one play, and they're already just shy of midfield. Brady now to throw, fighting through pressure. And he's going to get a solid gain of 9 before being brought down. 2nd and right at a yard. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished 2nd the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence.
Touchdown! Tony Gonzalez, 43 yards. And the AFC is in for 6.
For a big tight end, he can sure move like a slot receiver when he gets a head of steam going. And as a defensive back, you've got a big decision to make when he's moving like that.
Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And he's got it to make it 7-0 AFC. So they only needed 3 plays on that drive. And it ends with an AFC touchdown. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. This one fielded at the 5. And he'll be tackled just shy of the 25. Well, the NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling a coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
1st and 10, it's Favre. And his throw here's incomplete. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. but might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
And just 25 seconds to go in the half now as they've got it 1st and 10. Brady going to throw. And fights him off. And the throw left sideline here is caught, but they'll rule it incomplete. Couldn't keep his feet in. 2nd down. Brady's incompletion on 1st down leads to a 2nd and 10. Not wanting to take a chance this time, they'll keep it on the ground. And obviously not fooling anybody here as they stop him behind the line of scrimmage. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they'll stop it with 14 seconds to go in this 1st half. And not an easy spot here. They'll be in search of 13 yards to try to pick up the first. For one more time, they'll keep it on the ground. And he's not going to sniff the 1st down here. He stopped at the 25. And they're going to take a timeout defensively. So with 4th down coming up, they go ahead and burn it and say we'll see what happens. On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. And they're going to fake it from deep in their own territory. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss said, chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about...
So we're at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. Dante Hall going to bring it out of the end zone. And they'll start this drive just across the 30. Pretty nice work on the return. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Their defense has pitched the shutout. Now they probably need to deliver a little breathing room. Maybe make it a 2-score game as they've got it 1st and 10. Buried by multiple defenders on the drive's first play. They'll come up after the sack on a 2nd and 12. Here's Brady. And he'll be brought down right around the 37. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the number 1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matches.